Hi, everybody. I'm Chris. I'm the host of the All About Digital Marketing podcast and also the CEO of Social Inc. Today, I wanted to talk about something that internally we talk about a lot, and I don't remember whether or not I've spoken about it in much detail here on the podcast. What we call this is 2WA, 2 weeks ahead. This is something that we implement for pretty much everything, for the way we create podcasts most of the time, for the way that we create social media content and blog content for ourselves as well as for our clients. 2 weeks ahead is a very simple premise, and it started being talked about in a specific way by James O'Donnell, our commercial director, who coined the phrase 2 weeks ahead is good for the head. The idea was that we never wanted to be rushing around and desperately trying to come up with something to create content about for our clients. This is a big no. There's a reason for that. When content is done on the fly, it's done quickly, it's done last minute, it usually ends up having either mistakes in it or issues, or even worse still, it's not really well thought out and it's not really doing a very specific thing. It's not actually going to take us towards our objectives. So the 2 weeks ahead system, and the reason I'm doing this episode today is because of the fact that we did just do an episode about the idea of having content calendars and why that's so important. But 2 weeks ahead is literally the golden goose as far as we're concerned, with making sure that we are never on the back foot, desperately trying to catch up or desperately trying to figure out what to post and what to talk about. So for a lot of you, posting comes as a quick, I'll grab my phone and I'll put something out today. That's fine, and it's probably worked to a certain extent, but I'll almost guarantee you that each of you that's doing that right now has also had a period of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks where no content has gone out. I'm the first to put my hands up and admit that we have done this as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my hands up, but it happens to the best of us because trying to run on the fly just doesn't work. So using a system like a very simple content calendar, planning and preparing that content in advance and scheduling it, either using a tool like Hootsuite, Buffer, Sprout Social, there's tons of them, or even inside most of the platforms now, like Facebook and Twitter, you can schedule these posts automatically yourself and have those ready to go out in advance. So what's that going to do for you and for your brand? Well, most importantly, it's what it does for your audience. There's nothing worse than going to a business's Facebook page, for example, to try and find out what times they're open or just to see what they're offering or what they're currently doing and noticing that they haven't posted for a month. The first thing that comes to our minds, whether we like it or not, is that business is gone or they're not open anymore, or actually they're not still in business. Especially today with everything that's happened over the last year, with a lot of businesses unfortunately having to shutter their doors or close or not be currently open due to restrictions or anything else, that causes confusion, and most importantly, it doesn't look good for you. But from your audience's point of view, there's a lot of people that very potentially haven't seen your content or aren't seeing your content. Most of the social media platforms will show your piece of content to about 10, 12, 15% of your audience. So if you have 1,000 people on your Facebook page, you're lucky if you're getting it in front of 150 people. But if you think about having that content going out regularly, that's 150 people today, potentially 150 people tomorrow, potentially 150 people the next day. That keeps adding up. And that's going to help your brand get recognized. It's going to help people to see your content and to start formulating some kind of a link, right, in their heads where they see your content, they know who you guys are, and they know what you're all about or what it is that you offer, what it is that you sell, whatever it might be. That is the key, and that's the reason we should be posting regularly, consistently, and most importantly, why by planning and by always being 2 weeks ahead, you take away that pressure from yourself and you take away the chance that actually your audience is going to forget who you are, forget what that content is all about, and actually not take any action any further with you and your company. So the 2 weeks ahead game for us is enormous. This is what we do for all our clients. We are constantly working on it. And how does it work? Well, really, really simply, we're always working on content that's going to go out in 2 weeks' time. So let's say it's the beginning of May right now. This content that we're working on will not be released until mid-May and onwards. And that helps us to make sure that we're never on the back foot. This is the key thing to take away from this. There is next to nothing that can happen in your business or even in the world as a whole that will take away from some either evergreen content that you can cover and post, or talking about yourselves, your company, your business, your products, and your services. Having that 2 weeks ahead, fine, you may need to change something if a promotion changes. But actually the reality is the benefits of having that baseline content and adding on top of that is going to be far more powerful and impactful than having no content and trying to catch up or trying to add things on the day. I know what it's like running a business. I've done this now for over 12 years, and I can honestly say that good days, bad days, my phone is constantly lighting up. There's always something to be done, whether it be getting back on top of accounts, whether it be looking at our own lead generation, whether it be delivering content for our clients. Whatever it is, there's always something to detract me from what I need to do next. So ultimately, by us having this system in place and by us constantly working on content that's 2 weeks ahead of the game, I relieve the pressure on myself to say, okay, something bad's happened. I need to deal with this right now. That means, therefore, I'm not losing out on social media posts for today, for tomorrow, for next week. That's why we do it. So I strongly recommend that you guys take a look at this as well. If you're not prepping and you're not planning your content ahead of the game, change that. And you can change it by as simply as setting in your diary 2 hours, if it's the very first, or even an hour, and saying, right, next 2 weeks of content, 3 to 4 posts a week, let's go, and just get it done in one sitting. Having that advance is going to allow you then to next week do the same thing. And before you know it, you're always working 2 weeks ahead of the game. I hope you found this useful. If you did, or if you have any questions about how the 2WA system works, please don't hesitate to look us up on the social medias on @allaboutdigimar. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We're happy to answer questions. I get most of the notifications on my phone personally, so I am happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Stay safe, and as we start looking like we're going to be getting closer to less and less restrictions later this month. If you're in the UK, I'm sure you're just as excited as I am. But if you're a business that's going to be opening up soon, what could you do now to get ahead of the game before that happens? Anyway, that's it from me today. Take care, and we'll see you very soon.